Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. This is taking me a couple of days to do. I'm back from vacation, and it was a good vacation, but there was some stuff that happened there that basically I don't think I ever want to see again. But that being said, the beer, as you saw by the thumbnail we're looking at today, is Cannery Brewing's Wildfire Dark Lager, coming at 5.5% alcohol by volume, 15 IBUs. And this dark lager pays tribute to the firefighters who bravely fought over our nation's wildfires. There's the label right there. And let's get it poured. While I'm pouring it, a little story. We were in a city or a town called Penticton, where this brewery is from, actually. And we kind of, sorry, drop that. We kind of had, we were there for 5 days. So there was my family, and it was actually quite a lot of fun to be there. When we drove there, my GPS took me through a certain area, which was great. It went through the back area of Kelowna, and we went along that route to get to Penticton. While we were there, a few fires sprung up, were started. One in the south of us, near Osoyoos, and we saw this great big plume of smoke one night when we were going out for dinner, and it looked like someone had dropped a bomb, almost just the way this plume of smoke was coming out. And another one that both of them are still going on, is in West Kelowna, where a lot of people have been replaced or evacuated and taken out of their homes. Quite a few homes have been destroyed, and it's still ongoing. The Okanagan Lake Resort was destroyed in Kelowna, in West Kelowna there, and it's a surreal sight to see. As for this beer, it's delicious. It's got a nice malty front note for a lager. Light note overall, light beer. Absolutely delicious. I'm not going to rate it because it is a charity beer. Because I buy this a lot. It used to be the Wildfire Dark IPA. They changed it to the Dark Lager. And I picked this up because I knew I was going to be in Penticton. This was one of the beers that I had to get. This was one of the ones where I was like, nope, this is happening. I'm getting this beer. However, so the final day that we were there was the Saturday. The fire in Kelowna was out of control. There was a secondary fire that hopped the lake and was now in the north end of Kelowna. Which I didn't quite know about, but heard about. But waking up, we had a lot of smoke during the time we were there. The temperatures were 36 to 39 degrees almost every day. The final day that we were there, the wind was blowing. It dropped down to 28 degrees, so a 10-degree difference. And there was waves on the lake. It was absolutely insane. But still, it was a lot of fun to be out there. And yes, while we were out there, British Columbia declared a state of emergency. Not only did they declare a state of emergency, the last day that we were there, we were leaving, we were checking out. And it was kind of a good thing we did. Because when we checked out, I think about halfway through our journey, I'll get to more of the journey in a bit back. But about halfway through our journey, they actually declared that any non-essential folks that were traveled there, that were visiting there, that were there for vacation, were asked, actually not asked, told to leave the hotels, motels, anywhere in the South Okanagan so that they can actually bring in the evacuees that were evacuated from their houses into these hotels and everything else like that. So if we stayed longer, we would have been told to leave and we would have had to come back sooner. Not a problem, in all honesty. Absolutely not a problem because of the fact of what was going on. Now, I know that a lot of people don't know exactly what they see on the news, if it's real or not. It's very real. When we drove back, it was one of the most surreal scenes I have ever witnessed in my life. Aside from the flooding here in Calgary 10 years ago, seeing the Kelowna the way it was something else. When we drove, we got past Summerland, or Peachland, I should say, because Peachland's after. And there was a sign saying, drive cautiously, drive carefully, lower your speeds due to wildfires in the area and smoke. You don't realize how bad it is until we got over this hill and all we saw was this great big plume of smoke coming towards us, and pretty much the sun was wiped out. It was still kind of smoky down in Penticton when we were leaving, and there was ash and there was soot on our car when we were leaving the hotel. But you get to West Kelowna and it was just, the cloud got thick. It got really thick. You look over to your west, I guess it is, yes, to your west as you're driving, and you start seeing these, it's just eerily quiet. There's hardly anybody there. There's people under evacuation orders or evacuation alerts, and it was very, very quiet. For Kelowna, seeing it that quiet was speechless. Like, I couldn't, we didn't really speak in our vehicle when we were driving back. We saw how close the fire was, and it was at least 2 kilometers close, 2 kilometers to 3 kilometers away from the highway that we're on. You saw the smoke coming up from the mountains as much as you can see because the smoke was actually covering some of the areas. And you see the helicopters flying by, dropping the water along the lines to try and keep the fire under control. Hey PA, how you doing? It was one of those sights I don't think I ever want to see again. But it was so close to the city that you could see, just like, it was so eerily quiet. The smoke, the people blocking off the areas of where the fire was so that no one would go there, was just something else. We got over the bridge, which we thought was closed the night before, which it wasn't, thankfully. But we got over the bridge and got through Kelowna Main, which is the downtown core. And you drive along there, and there's places that have no gas. There's no gases at the gas station. There's hardly anybody around. There's a few people on the car, a few cars on the road. Normally at that point in time, it takes at least 25 to 30 minutes to get through the downtown core. It took us 10. And then we get to this one spot on the north end of Kelowna, and where my GPS told me to go going to Penticton, it was all blocked off. And you look up that road, and there's fires that you can see a kilometer away, just right near the road where I was driving not 5 days earlier. And it was, you see it so close to the houses that those houses, you know, they're, if they don't get water bombed or anything else like that, they're gone. it was quite a scary sight. For a population that they have, there's a lot of people that have been displaced. And I think they're saying 25,000 more people have been put on evacuation alert, with another 10,000 on evacuation order. And then we drove through all that. Hey Glenn, how you doing? I'm glad I'm safe too. Yeah, it is such a scary and sad situation for everyone out there. You're not wrong. Like I said, I don't know how to I don't know how to say it, but it is just it's eerie. And for the people that are out there, I can only imagine the shit that they're going through. It's scary. It really is. I know that when we got out of there, there's still a lot of smoke. When we got to Vernon, there was hardly any sun. It was just an orange ball in the sky, and ash was falling in Vernon. Um, it was it was something else, for sure. It was definitely something else for sure. I thought I would have had to go a different way because they said that the bridge was closed, but talking to a few of the people that I know in Penticton, the bridge wasn't closed. It was a rumor. Thankfully, because that floating bridge is our ticket out of there, and if anything, we would have had to go through the south way, which would have added an extra 2.5 hours to our drive. And I don't even know that way. Um, but we got out of there. We got through. Hey, let's talk. Hey, Shibby, how you doing? Yeah, again, I'm glad I made it out there too. I'm glad that there's a lot of people that have been evacuated properly. I'm glad that they put this order into place, and I'm glad that they took all these tourists and said, "Okay, guys, get out." The airport that's near the north end of the city is closed. They've closed down the Kelowna airport for any traffic, so that the firefighters and the water bombers and everything could have clear paths to get through. They made it that no one flies any drones in that area, so that the planes can drop all the water and stuff. Penticton closed their airport as well, which is 45 minutes away, and unless it's essential traffic or anything else. And we were watching the planes fly over us for a while we were on the beach. Yeah, there's it was something else. I mean, as strange as it sounds, it was still a good 5 days because it wasn't really that major until we left, where it was really, really major. Um, but the amount of firefighters, volunteers, and everything that's down there right now helping out, kudos to all of them because they have got one hell of a battle on their hands. Um, yeah, the fire apparently that's in Sorrento, Cannery Brewing, or not Cannery, but Crannog Ales in Sorrento's closed down because they are on an evacuation order. Like a lot of the Okanagan in BC is pretty much on fire. Highway 1 in Sorrento and Armstrong around there is closed, or Salmon Arm is closed. You can't. It was closed as of I guess yesterday. I didn't check today to see if it was still closed, but because of the fires, they closed the main highway. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot. So getting this beer at pretty much this is something that I always get every year. Being in that area with the fires and everything else like that, kind of, I don't know if I like the name or not. Like Wildfire, I get it. Like, it's a good name. It's for the fallen firefighters of Canada, and it's just, yeah, it's a great beer to support a great cause. And seeing what I saw over the weekend, yeah, it was one of those ones. We got to Revelstoke, and actually, I guess the last spike, which is just about 20 minutes away from Revelstoke, and it started to clear up a bit. There wasn't a lot of smoke. It didn't look like a war zone. It didn't look like you were in the bowels of hell, is one way I could put it. Um, it was starting to clear up, and when we got back here, it's not a lot of smoke as we know, but if you're here still here, Glenn, if you remember that day where it was dark and gloomy because of the smoke in northern Alberta, it was like that, but all over the Okanagan. It was just, but and with ash falling, where we didn't have ash here, we had a lot of ash falling there. It was something else. it was it was wild. For all the people that lost their homes over these fires, I am so sorry. I hopefully you guys made it out alive. Your pets made it out. There's a lot of evacuation areas in Okanagan, in Penticton, Osoyoos, Kelowna, West Kelowna. In Vernon, there's a camp that they're bringing up. Um, it's one of those things. Like I said, I pointed out to my wife about the fire and the helicopters dropping the water, and she goes, "I don't want to look over there." She looked straight ahead. She didn't want to look over there. I don't blame her. I really don't blame her. Um, yeah, like I said, it was a good vacation. Just that last part. That last part was something else. Um, yeah, so aside from that, this beer is actually really good. It's something I get every single time, and I'm glad I got it this year. This is the only 4 pack I got while I was in Penticton. It's the only beer I bought to take home while I was in Penticton. I got a couple other beers while I was there. Um, I actually had the oatmeal stout from Cannery while I was in their thing. Um, yeah, reading tweets from people that were picking up and recent and evacuating and wondering if they'll ever see their home again was just so heartbreaking. I can't imagine. You're not wrong. You're really not wrong. And it's like a lot of people have these nighttime videos of the fire where when I was there during the day, it was one of those like you just see smoke. You don't really see the fire. You just see a lot of smoke coming from the trees from the areas, and it's yeah, it's something else. I got a friend that's in oh, I can never remember the name. It's just near Osoyoos, not Sereno. I can never remember the name, but it's in South Okanagan, and sort of keeping an eye on that fire there is something else. Yeah, I mean, we had some clear days, but when those fires built up, the smoke came in, and it was if the wind blew south, you had the smoke from Kelowna. If the wind blew north, you had the smoke from the Osoyoos fire. There's smoke everywhere, and like we went to the log barn that's outside of Vernon, we could barely breathe. It was something else. Like we could use the smoke was it hit your lungs pretty hard. Um, but it was yeah, getting out of there was something else, and I feel bad for everyone else that is having issues down there. Um, Between the fires and the ones happening in Hawaii, it just seems like the whole world is literally. But I was actually talking to someone about that, and yeah, it's either floods or fires right now. And Maui, the Northwest Territories, uh, Kelowna, flooding in France, I think it is, or if there was a fire in France, but Germany, there's flooding, I think there was. There's a lot of different things that are going on right now that it's just if you don't say climate change isn't real, I really don't know how this doesn't prove it, you know. But still, that's a different story. We're not going to get into that. That's going to be a whole different thing. All I'm saying is what I saw was fucking awful. I don't think I'd ever want to see that again, but we're going to. It's going to happen again. We're going to see it again, and it's going to be there. It's just, I know that there's my aunt and uncle were joking a little bit that they're trying to sell their place. And how they're trying to sell it is a house with a view. When we drove by on the Saturday, you couldn't even see up that hill where they're located, because the highway that we drive is, you could see up and you see their house pretty much. It's way up on the hill. You couldn't see the house, so they had it showing at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, that view is not there, so that house with the view just didn't show it. Couldn't even see out their own backyard. So, but yeah, I know that there's going to be some rain coming for the Kelowna area. Thank you to that tropical storm, Hillary. Hopefully it gets a little bit more where it helps the fires out. But it looks like it's going to be hitting our end versus BC, so they may not see as much. So here's hoping that they actually have some things on their side. The winds have died down, but the winds were strong on the Friday and Saturday, so it's tough to combat that. Nope, climate change isn't real. This is all coincidence, said with extreme sarcasm. Yeah, not wrong. But yeah, was trying to see how to do this video, because again, this beer, and then seeing what I saw, I was like, I want to do a review, and I was going to do it while I was there, but that didn't happen. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll wait. I'll do a review when I get home. And driving through that, doing that review was, I got home and I'm like, I'm going to need a couple of days to process this. A couple of days it did. So, overall, this is a great beer. It's for a great cause. And it just puts into perspective, because I know that when I first had this beer, I did Cannery 7 years ago. They gave me this, and it was the black IPA, and they did it directly from the tank for me. They gave me a bunch from the tank, and when I was driving home, there's some small fires that were around the Okanagan area just before they closed up Summerland so that people couldn't drive through it 7 years ago. And I watched the helicopters pick up the water from Lake Okanagan and dump it on different areas. So it kind of put it into perspective then. Seeing the fires in a major city like Kelowna just engulf areas that they kind of have $1 million homes, but they also had different areas that have been evacuated in case, that are just right near the highway, puts it really into perspective of how bad it can get. And I know that having forest fires is a natural thing, but to have people lose their homes is not quite a natural thing. It's the act of nature is horrible. I know a lot of insurance companies around don't really insure for those kind of things at times, where people don't get insured, but if you're in the area, you need to have that. That's something you need to have. So yeah, a little story behind that. I'm safe. The people I know that are living in Kelowna right now are safe. I keep tabs on a bunch of friends that live in West Kelowna right now. They're still safe. They're not under the evacuation order. They're still under evacuation alert. So, and I've been watching the news broadcasts on YouTube about the fire, and it seems like last night they had a little bit of a better battle with it. It was working. They were actually gaining ground on that fire. So here's hoping that happens. To the people that have lost their homes, I am so very sorry. To the people that have lost their businesses, again, I am very sorry. To everyone that hopefully, to all the tourists that left that area, I really hope you did. Thank you for that. I know I would have. If I was told to leave, I'd be like, okay, here's my card. Here's me checking out. Let me know. Here's my room number. Get it cleaned. Get people in there right away. I would have left right away. I kind of was keeping an eye on everything, and my brother had to go back to BC or Victoria, so he took Highway 3, and his was a little slow going, but it was the safest route for him. So yeah. But overall, cheers for beers that actually do charity work like this. This will actually be in Collective on Thursday, Glenn. So if you're still here, Collective's getting this in on Thursday. I went in yesterday to talk to them, see if it was in. They'll have this in on Thursday. So if you buy a can or two, it's a dark lager. It works well as a dark lager. It's got some maltiness. It's got some bitter back notes. It's a good beer for a great charity. And for all the people that are down in the Okanagan, please be safe out there. Do what you can to help out. I know there's a lot of people that are helping out as much as they can. And to all the people in the Northwest Territories, I hope you guys are safe. Awesome. Yeah, it'll be in on Thursday. That's what Andrew told me. Well, that's what Andrew was saying. So, but yeah, it'll be in there. Probably be about $5.60 a can is what I imagine. 4-pack for me was about $23 for this in Kelowna. So, might be cheaper, might be more. I don't know. Overall, I'm going to get going here. I just want to share that experience with you, and I just want to say I'm thankful for all the people coming on. So, PA, Glenn, and Shibby, thank you for joining. I'm sorry if that story kind of scared you, but at the same point in time, it needed to be said that people are looking at this going, well, it's not that bad. No, folks, it's that bad. It's fucking horrible. It's absolutely that bad. Kelowna's being cut off in two directions by two different fires. Hopefully they can get it under control. So, till next time, folks, cheers. Stay frosty. We'll see you real soon. Thanks again for joining. Be good out there. Be well. And let's hope everything comes back to normal, and hopefully these rains that come help out. Have a great night.